This afternoon, I'd like to share with you about resistance. There are people who think whatever the government says to do, they must do it, even when it's wrong. However, I don't believe this is what God teaches us through his word, the Bible. What I see is if what we are told to do infringes on what God told us to do, we should resist. Proverbs 28:4 said, "Those who forsake instruction praise the wicked, but those who heed it resist them." I'm going to shine a light on 6 acts of resistance in the Bible against the government and religious leaders. This is what resistance looks like. The first one, kill the babies. Exodus 1:15. Then the king of Egypt told the Hebrew midwives, whose names were Shiphrah and Puah, when you help the Hebrew women in childbirth, look at the child when you deliver it. If it's a boy, kill it. But if it's a girl, let it live. However, the midwives feared God and didn't obey the king of Egypt's orders. They let the boys live. Number 2, kill Jonathan. Jonathan is King Saul's son. King Saul said in 1 Samuel 14:44, may God deal with me, be it ever so severely, if you do not die, Jonathan. But the men that Saul told him to kill him said, no, they were not going to do it. So the men rescued Jonathan and he was not put to death. And then number 3, kill the priest. In 1 Samuel 22:17, King Saul ordered the guards at his side, turn and kill the priest of the Lord. But the king's officials were unwilling to raise a hand to strike the priest of the Lord. The number 4, stop preaching the gospel. Acts 5:27-29. The apostles were brought in and made to appear before the Sanhedrin to be questioned by the high priest. We gave you strict orders not to teach in his name. This name, he said, yet you have filled Jerusalem with your teaching and are determined to make us guilty of this man's blood, talking about Jesus. Peter and other apostles applied, we must obey God rather than human beings. Number 5, stop praying to God. Daniel 6:10. Now, when Daniel learned that the decree had been published, and this decree was they were not allowed to pray to any god but the king, he went home to his upstairs rooms where the windows opened toward Jerusalem. 3 times a day he resisted because he got down on his knees and prayed, giving thanks to his God just as he had done before. Number 6, stop worshiping God, also in the book of Daniel. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego refused to bow down to worship the golden idol that was set up by Nebuchadnezzar, and they were thrown in the fiery furnace, but they resisted. It's distressing in 2025 to see a Congress that is unwilling or afraid to confront what surely they know is wrong doing in this presidential administration. Perhaps I can help them grow a backbone and realize they have a sacred duty to do the right thing. When confronted with wrong, they should not lie, agree, or go along with it. I'm going to focus on 2 acts of resistance from the 6 I just listed. There is a time for resistance when wrong is being done by a leader. In the Old Testament, we have the powerful King Saul. When he went rogue, his supporters did not idly stand by and become complicit in his wrong. The first time is when he made an unwise, foolish decision, telling his troops that they could not eat until he exacted his revenge on the people, on his enemies. So he made them swear they wouldn't eat, even though they were surrounded by the honey. Even when they touched the honey, the Bible said none of the soldiers would put their hands to their mouths. The king's son, Jonathan, was not there when his father foolishly made the soldiers swear not to eat. I say foolish because when you are exerting so many calories through hard, strenuous work, you should eat. It's not time to fast. Later, Jonathan came to that field and ate some honey, which strengthened him. And Saul got his revenge. After Saul got his revenge, his starving and exhausted troops started killing the cattle they captured. They didn't even cook the meat. They were just eating bloody meat, which in so doing was against God's laws. But Saul made them stop and do better. at least on eating the meat. Saul consulted God later on to see if he should attack his next group of enemies. Saul didn't get an answer from God, so he surmised someone must have sinned. Through a series of actions, which you can read about in 1 Samuel 14, it was determined that Jonathan had broken the promise not to eat. Saul swore to kill him, his own son. In fact, he told his soldiers to kill him. However, King Saul's usually compliant soldiers resisted him and pushed back, saying, "Nope." 1 Samuel 14:44. Saul said, "May God deal with me, be it ever so severely, if you do not die, Jonathan." But the men said to Saul, "Should Jonathan die? He who has brought about this great deliverance in Israel? Never. As surely as the Lord lives, not a hair of his head will fall to the ground, for he did this today with God's help." So the men rescued Jonathan, and he was not put to death. They practically dared King Saul that it would go badly for him if he tried to hurt Jonathan. King Saul learned a lesson that day. The soldiers refused to participate in killing an innocent man. Then we see King Saul again trying to take revenge on someone. This time it was the priest, and he was angry that the priest had given David and his starving men some bread to eat as they were on the run from his murderous rampage. Saul decided he was going to exact revenge on the priest. He told his soldiers to kill the priest. But 1 Samuel 22:17 said the king ordered the guards at his side, "Turn and kill all the priests of the Lord, the priests of the Lord, because they too have sided with David." They knew he was fleeing, yet they did not tell me. But the king's officials were unwilling to raise a hand to strike the priest of the Lord. These soldiers had respect for the priests and a fear of God. They refused to participate in King Saul's act of revenge. Unfortunately for the priests, as it seems today, there is always someone without integrity who is willing to assist the villain to get the dirty deed done. In the case of the priest, the man's name was Doeg. He wasn't a government official. However, the Bible says he was standing with the king's officials. He was just a little tattletale from Edom. The king's officials refused to kill innocent men and destroy a whole department, but this rogue person, Doeg, was willing and eager to do so. In fact, he went further than what the king told him to do. But the king didn't stop him. Not only did he kill 85 priests, the Bible said he went in overdrive and killed everyone in the town, including women, children, infants, and even the economy. And the economy was the sheep and the cattle. Yes, there is a time to resist. Proverbs again 28:4 states, "Those who forsake instruction praise the wicked, but those who heed it resist them." Keep your eyes open in 2025. Don't be passive. Don't say, "It doesn't concern me." Don't go along with evil. Resist evil.